What's up, everybody? We are back. I'm Joe.
And I'm John.
Yeah, this is John. He had to think about it for a minute, so he might not be.
I'm Batman. I'm super Batman.
Super Batman.
It's like Batman and Superman together.
That's impossible because Batman killed Superman.
I don't have time for nerdy banter.
I do.
Joe knows all about that. Name every character on Star Wars in 30 seconds.
I can't.
Okay.
I like the nerdy stuff.
He's a nerd.
I'm not like. There's me, and then there's like the nerds up here, and then there's me with the nerds down here that we just like the shows, and we don't really know a whole lot about all that stuff. So yeah, it's not me. My bad.
You're a nerd, you're just not a super nerd.
I'm not a super nerd. No, I like Lord of the Rings, like Star Wars, like Star Trek, like Stargate SG-1. I like Star stuff. You realize that?
Yep. That's why you like your brother so much. I'm a star.
He's a star, man. He's a freaking star. He'd be a falling star, but he's still a star.
I'm a shooting star.
A shooting star.
Giggity.
Oh, God.
Speaking of nerds and Star Wars and all that bullshit, what do you think about men that are into that stuff?
I think it's great. I think as long as you don't do too much, I think it's good. Like our last video, right? So we got some hate for our comments about sports and video games. And we loved it. Honestly, it was great.
You play video games.
Not okay.
Not religiously.
Right, exactly. Here's where we're going with this, okay? You can always tell when people do not pay attention to what you say. You got to pay attention to everything that has been said in order to get the full context. People were upset because they were like, oh, yeah, people watch sports. Look, that's not what we said, okay? We said people who are obsessed with it, okay? You can watch sports. Sports are great. Video games are great. But when you spend hours upon hours upon hours of your life focused on that, it becomes not great, okay? That is not good. You need to have a balance, right? People who are obsessed with that sort of thing or whatever, like you're wasting time, you're wasting your life. That's all we're saying.
There's such thing as good addictions and bad addictions. I think a good addiction is getting money, getting in better shape, improving yourself. Being addicted to bettering yourself is a great addiction to have. And then, of course, bad addictions are what Joe just mentioned. And you can be on one extreme of the good and the bad. You can be so addicted to getting money that you're a workaholic and you don't have time for your fitness or for your relationships, with it being your significant other, even some of your friends, your kids if you've got kids. So you can go to one end of the extreme or the other, and both of them are equally as bad. But it's better to be on the good side of those healthy addictions. That's what we'll call them, healthy addictions.
Yeah. It's about balance. Balance is important. Very important.
Life is about balance, if you think about it. I mean, if you balance relationships, fitness, work, health, hobbies, those couple of general ideas, you're going to be an extraordinary individual.
Yep, because a lot of people are not balanced. Yep. That's why it's important that's why we feel it's important to have standards. So it's like, standards for everything in your entire life. You can tell the difference in a person who has standards just by looking at them as opposed to somebody who doesn't, right? And that's why that's important to have, standards for your work ethic, standards for who you associate with, standards for your personal development and improvement, standards. And those things are going to snowball and reflect on the types of people you date, who you marry, where you end up in the world in terms of what your job is, who you rub shoulders with on a day-to-day basis, the wealth you're able to accumulate, that sort of thing.
Yep.
It's a very important building block. These things, a lot of people seem to overlook, but they're actually extremely important because it's the foundation.
Yep, that is the foundation. I was going to say something along those lines. Your standards actually are going to mold you into the person that you are, and it's going to, like what Joe said, snowball. So if you have certain standards for yourself, in a year you might be a completely different person, and then in 5 years you're going to be a completely different person. If those standards remain the same, and if they're a good choice of standards, and you hold yourself up here, then you're going to be killer. You're going to be in great shape. You're going to be making lots of money. You're going to mold yourself into an incredibly awesome person.
Yep, that's right, 100%.
But what happens, though, if somebody does not have standards? And then what happens after 1 year, 5 years, 10 years?
What does that look like? Like you fall into complacency, your life falls apart. You become a miserable human being, and that's not a good place to be.
And possibly blame others.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Blame game.
Yep. Play a blame game. It's everybody else's fault but mine. And all the while you are where you are because that's where you put yourself.
Yep. If something's wrong in your life and you're unhappy with pretty much anything, the first person to blame is yourself. That's your fault. You chose to go work that job. You chose to not go to the gym. You chose to eat that food. You chose to date this person who didn't ruin your life. You allowed them to ruin your life because everybody, I don't care if you're the stupidest person in the world. Well, maybe I'll give you a pass for that. Maybe you'll get a pass for being the stupidest person in the world. But I feel like for me, anytime that I had a stupid pass. Anytime I had a bad experience dating somebody, it was something that was a very subtle red flag that I noticed in the beginning. But because of some other things that checked off, I was overlooking that, and I shouldn't have been. I was naive. I was younger. I didn't know better. And, lo and behold, those red flags that I overlooked in the beginning came way full circle back around, came to bite me hard.
That's right.
So,
I saw the red flags. I just thought I was a bull, so I chased them. I get a stupid pass.
We've all made mistakes. Mistakes are good. Mistakes are they exist for a reason. That's so we learn from them.
Yeah.
The only stupid mistake is the one that you repeat. So don't repeat mistakes. Learn from them. Use them to get better. The most successful people in the world have all made tons of mistakes, but just choosing to learn from them and move on and grow and don't repeat them. That's how you get better.
That's right. That's how you grow. Growth happens when you are presented with the same opportunity or situation, and instead of repeating the cycle, you change things and you go a different way.
Speaking of that reminds me of, what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yep. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over and you're getting the same result,
you're crazy.
Yep, you're a dumbass.
You're insane.
You get no stupid card.
Pass revoked. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You may or may not go to jail.
I've been to jail.
We know all about that. Yep. Yeah.
But it was an interesting experience.
Why don't you tell us about your experience in jail?
I mean, it wasn't like anything major. I didn't do time. I mean, I was held for,
He's a criminal.
48 hours or 24 hours or something like that. It was over a woman that I was dating at the time. Been together 4 years. I was paying for a house for her and her 2 kids. It was a pretty spacious house. Something she couldn't afford on her own. The kids each had their own bedroom, and of course we had our own master bedroom. There was a lot of other information.
Just skip all that.
I'm not going to.
The nitty gritty. Explain jail. We're talking about jail.
I'm explaining how I got put in jail. In a nutshell.
Okay, we'll get to it.
So basically, I caught her at a local restaurant with another man eating dinner with her and her kids. So if you guys want to talk about mistakes in relationships and ignoring red flags, this is what potentially could happen if you choose to ignore red flags. Don't ignore red flags because it's gonna come back later and fuck you up.
Do not be a bull. You're not at a carnival. those are red flags. They look like a fun time, but they turn out to be very not fun.
They're fun for a little bit.
They're fun for a little bit, but just...
It's kind of like a drug. Drugs are really bad.
Except for my bike. My bike's drugs. I love drugs.
Joe, he named his bike Drugs. So people ask, what are you doing, Joe? He says, oh, I'm on drugs.
I'm on drugs. It's great. Everybody knows drugs.
You know what you should do is get a white bike and call it cocaine. And then people will be like, Joe's on cocaine.
I'm on cocaine today, boys.
Like I saw, like Joe blew by me really fast.
Blew by me. I see
you
did
doing cocaine.
I'm not going to do that.
So anyways, you got us way off.
Back to jail. Explain jail.
Back
How
to
was
jail. Jail was boring. When I was in there with a bunch of losers, and I knew I wasn't a loser, and I didn't want to be in there. The staff, they deal with losers and people that actually deserve to be in there all day long. They're assholes.
So they treated you like a loser too?
Yeah, well, except for the one guard. He was like the only guy on duty. He's this little chubby guy. He actually went to school with the person I was dating, and he knew her, so we actually were able to talk a little bit about that. Because she was friends with his ex-wife.
Small town vibes right there.
He was telling me a little bit about his experience with his ex-wife, who's friends with my ex-girlfriend. So we kind of vibed. We vibed a little bit, but they were short-staffed. It wasn't
buddies in jail.
Long after COVID. Don't say that. It doesn't sound right. But, I mean, it was just boring. It was a 23-hour lockdown, so you can only go out into your block in the open part there for an hour. But they were trying to get me out of there, so they just skipped mine, and I got out like 2 hours after the time I was supposed to have an hour of free time. It was just boring. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. It was my first time being in there. Everyone's rowdy and banging on the walls and the door. And
they're all penned up like a bunch of animals. They ain't got nothing else to do.
But, I mean, they deserved to be in there. One guy was in there because he was stealing flat screens. Like, you could just look at these people and tell that they're the dumbasses that get caught.
That's standards.
Standards, yeah. Don't
Lack
get
of
caught.
standards. Lack of standards.
If you're gonna be a criminal, don't get caught.
Have standards. No, we don't condone criminal activity.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
We believe in always do what's right, because God's always watching. Even if no one else on earth sees you do something, God is watching you. And
God saw it, and God's on earth, so technically somebody on earth saw it.
Well, true. Well, He's everywhere. But God's watching you, and it might not come back on you in a year or 5 years, but everything you do comes back, so make sure what you do is something good.
That's right. The karmic effect of the universe goes around, comes around. You reap what you sow.
Yeah, you do. So sow good seeds.
You jinx, you owe me an energy drink.
He didn't actually drink it. He's stupid. We woke up this morning, he tried to submit me with some jiu-jitsu. It was a stalemate.
Big as he is, he wasn't able to pin me.
I didn't try very hard.
You tried extremely hard. You're right. No. He didn't try very hard. He tried extremely hard. He was all out of breath. He was like, I wasn't huffing and puffing. Yes, you were.
A little. I was.
No, you were like, listen, standards. Get your training in. Make sure your cardio's good. Hit the gym. Because having big muscles doesn't do you any good if you don't know how to use them.
All right, so
to
be fair, I don't train jiu-jitsu. I know a little bit.
He's got the hands though.
Thanks. Yeah, I was gonna say that. See, this is a solid brother. He will admit that I do have some hands, and I mean I do have some strength. How much did I bench when you spotted me yesterday or Monday?
Strong.
How much?
Strong like bull.
Tell him how much I lifted.
I don't remember. It was like over 300 pounds.
365 for how many times?
365 for like, what was it, 5?
4 or 5.
It was like 5. We'll call it 5.
And did you touch the bar?
Nope.
Thanks. He just basically watched me.
I was there for moral support.
Yeah. We combined our testosterone, and I got stronger through osmosis.
That's right.
Speaking of that, actually, let's talk about that. How iron sharpens iron, and how who you spend your time with is going to be a reflection of who you are.
Yep. Having standards for who you hang out with, huge. If you hang out with a bunch of losers, you're going to be a loser. If you hang out with people who are bettering themselves, you are going to better yourself. And you will end up being, and like he said, in a year's time, you will be light years from where you were the previous year.
There was something I was watching the other day. I thought it was super, super interesting. It was, I don't know, it might have been a coach of some sports team or something like that. And they're playing sports, by the way. They're not watching them like a loser. Different. I said that last time, too. It's okay to play them. Just don't be addicted to watching them all the time. Waste of time. Anyways, point being, this guy was talking about how some of the best athletes, they don't try to go from 0 to 100 in 30 days. And then obviously you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to get discouraged and possibly quit. He was talking about getting 1% better every day. After a year, I'm no mathematician, but what does 1% better equal out to at the end of a year?
Like 365% better.
Exactly. So you're going to be over 3.5 times better at something if you get 1% better every day. That's why it's important to wake up in the morning, you have your standards, live your life out according to those standards, and don't sway. Get a little bit better at X, Y, Z every single day. Make a habit of it.
You were just rhyming and you didn't even know it.
We're gonna edit this clip and put a beat to it. We're gonna get a super
putting out a rap album, guys. Stay tuned.
Super Sigma Swag beats.
Beats by Sigma Swag.
Yeah, SS.
We'll figure it out.
Yep. I forgot.
Let's talk about standards for the women you pick. All right, this part's just for the guys, right? Because this is very important. The woman you pick has a massive effect on the direction your life goes. So you need to be, and I like to read a lot about different types of things, and obviously, like, one of my passions is, relationships and things of that nature. So I was reading about the effect that a good woman, or a woman in general, has on your life. And it was like some millionaire or somebody that had wrote about this. He said that...
So someone successful.
Yeah, someone very successful, obviously. Said the most important decision he ever made was choosing the woman that he married. He said that he was where he is today because of her. Now, women are extremely important. Women are the backbone of every society known to man, right? If you look back through history and you see a strong society, a successful society, they had good, solid women. And it's important, if you want to be as successful as you possibly can be, you have to pick a good woman. And good women, unfortunately, are very hard to find these days. It's a mess out there. We all know this. But picking a good woman and having standards really comes into play for this, right? As far as like standards for me go, you need to find somebody who will respect you, obviously, first and foremost.
That's probably the biggest one.
Yeah. Like, when a girl doesn't respect you. If you are telling her something... Well, first of all, you need to be a good man. You need to be somebody worth respecting. Let's put that out there, too.
You need to first respect yourself before anyone else can respect you.
You need to have built yourself... Right. You need to have built yourself into a man that is worth respecting, worth obeying, worth submitting to. All right? Somebody that she can trust. Because a lot of these women out here, they would be good women, okay? Women... get, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say crazy. They get, when they have to go through things because they've been put through the ringer by bad men, they become a lot more masculine. They're traumatized by it. It's not good.
Calloused,
right?
Is a good word.
Very calloused, okay? They could be so much better if men would build themselves up, have standards for themselves first, okay? Instead of going out here slinging dick and getting people pregnant and then running off and leaving them with the kids and all this other stuff. All right, so that's deplorable behavior. That needs to stop.
And we live in the dirty South, so that's probably the most prevalent place on earth where that happens.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's the dirty South.
Yep.
It's filthy.
It's pitiful.
Yeah.
How things go on around here, and it needs a change.
Yep.
But back to what I was saying, finding a woman that, once you are this man over here, this good man that is worth all of these things, you need to find a woman who is able to recognize that and who will respect you enough to let you take the lead and who will follow where you lead. If you have a good woman in your corner, the sky's the limit for you. I'm telling you.
Yep. If you select a good woman, I mean, that's going to benefit your life in so many ways. She's going to complement your life, and you're going to complement hers. You're in your masculine.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of people think that, men and women can be equal. No, men and women were never, are not now, and will never be equal. What we are is complementary. Okay? Complementary. We have lots of strengths here, lots of weaknesses here. They have lots of strengths here. Gosh. And lots of weaknesses here. So we're complementary. We complement each other, but we will never be equal. And that's a good thing, because if we were, just look at the world today and you can see what it's like out there where women are thinking that they're equal to men. And that's not meant to put women down or be derogatory in any way, but women, when they try to be equal to men, are miserable. They hate it.
You know what I just thought of? It's kind of like chocolate. So you could say men are like chocolate and women are sugar. Sugar by itself is sweet, but it's just very sweet. It doesn't really have a taste. Chocolate by itself is bitter. Very dark and bitter, and it's gross. Not good at all. I actually eat 90% cocoa because it's healthy, but that's beside the point. But when you combine sugar and chocolate, unless you're one of those fucking weirdos who doesn't like chocolate.
Okay.
Who doesn't like chocolate?
If somebody tells me they don't like chocolate, I automatically, don't trust them as much.
They might be a school shooter in a couple
of years.
They
might. How do you not like chocolate? I'm a fat kid at heart, though, so I make sure I stay in shape, and I don't, I hardly ever, eat a lot of sweets and stuff, but I do love me some snacks.
Best thing you can do when it comes to, and this goes back to standards again. How does everything keep coming back to standards?
I'm telling you, man, standards are life.
They must be important if they keep coming back around.
They must be.
A rule of thumb that I like to follow is it's what I do majority of the time. So say if I'm eating clean and getting my water in, getting my training in 5 days a week, and then I sway from that 2 days, so you could call it the weekend, then ultimately I'm going to be in better shape and healthier than I would be not in shape and less healthier. So it's what you do most of the time that matters the most. Just some free advice.
Just that being said, just don't, do meth in those 2 days either, because,
Yeah. You can do speed, just don't do meth.
There are still standards for what you shouldn't do, but you do anyway, and make sure that they stay, on the up and up.
Make sure when your standards sway that they still have some form of good in there.
Yeah. Make sure they're respectable.
Yeah.
Respectable cheat days.
Respectable standards. It starts with self-respect, and it should end with self-respect, but that's not always the case.
Nope.
Consistency is important. Consistency is probably one of the most important things someone could have in life, because that's, what you do the most of, you're going to get better at and better at and better at. So if you consistently go to the gym, you consistently work hard at your job, consistently put an effort at your relationship, I don't know of anyone that would fail if they're consistent.
No, because cream always rises to the top. Yeah. And it's about habit forming, right? You got to do something, 21 times in order for it to become a habit, I think? Something like that. So, it's really not hard. It just requires a little bit of effort.
21 days to break a habit.
Something like that. I'll have to look it up, but yeah. So,
it takes me 21 hours.
All that being said, one of the best things you can do when you wake up is make your bed.
Ooh, I love that.
Make your bed.
Admiral something.
Yeah.
Said that, yeah.
Well, it's been around since before him, but he's the guy that made that speech.
It popular. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one good benefit of making your bed is you wake up, you accomplish the first task of the day. So now you've built positive momentum, and that completion of that first task is going to motivate you to
motivate
other
you to
tasks.
do the other task, and then the next task, and before you know it, you got a big task done, and then next thing you know, 12 hours have gone by, 14 hours have gone by, you conquered the day.
Yep, and then you get to go home to a bed that's made.
Yeah, cool sheets are top tier.
I actually wanted to invest in some like 300 thread count cool sheets just to see what it's like.
Probably not a bad idea. I like them big heavy blankets, you know what I mean? Like get them cool sheets and that big heavy blanket after a long day, been working all day, been in the gym, now you're just like, oh yeah. Just knock out in them things, man. Tell me what.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
What were some of the hate comments that we got last time? Someone said something about my eyebrows and that.
Yeah, he don't do his eyebrows. He's just naturally.
Yeah, that like
we can't help it if we're beautiful. Leave us alone.
Yeah, he said you can't take masculinity advice from someone who does their eyebrows or something like that. I just thought it was funny.
It's pretty funny. It was cute. Comment again. We should do that. We should go through our hate mail and like just respond to some stuff and just like make it like a comedic event where we go
comical
through a comedic event. Yeah. Where we just go through and just be like, this was funny. I like this one. Like,
well, I wasn't gonna reply back and told him that his mom does a great job on my eyebrows. But I'm like, you know what? Nah, whatever.
Yeah, we're not gonna ever respond to any of that stuff like in the comment section. So you guys get down there and do your thing.
And honestly, we starting this, we actually want to improve the lives of the people that leave us hate comments too. So it doesn't bother me. It's not gonna do anything but circulate our video around. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, hate us more.
So yeah, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you very much for telling me I have nice eyebrows on the internet.
Yeah, because everybody's gonna be like, "Oh wow, he does. Let's look at this."
Yeah.
Do I have nice eyebrows?
Let's ask everybody.
Do I have nice eyebrows? I don't give a rip about my eyebrows.
Yeah.
Has no effect on my life.
After this episode, I'm actually gonna go get some new ink.
Tatted, man.
Yep.
Ink. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. Let's talk about tattoos for a second. You can be on either side of the fence with tattoos, doesn't matter. Tattoos, the way I look at them, they're great, okay? When you see somebody with tattoos, automatically the first thing that goes through my mind, okay,
they're bad.
No. First of all, I think it shows that they can sit still and endure pain for a long period of time, which is like good. Like it shows discipline, right? It shows, patience, which is good. Also, it shows that they can commit to something for their entire life. So, I'm not really gonna be crazy about a girl with all kinds of crazy stuff going on here or whatever. But see a girl with a couple tattoos, it tells me something about her right off the bat, or a guy, either or, right? If it shows that right off the bat, you can commit to something for your entire life, that you can sit there and endure pain, that you can be patient. And I think that is really good. I think that's a lot of times overlooked by people.
I've actually never even thought of that too. That's a good point. You see these women with these really nice arm sleeves, or what I really like, I think it's super freaking hot, is a full leg sleeve on a woman.
You like leg
sleeves?
Good.
Yeah, that's hot.
That.
It's hot. Well, that kind of brings us back to the point you just made about she committed to something. Obviously, that took more than one session, and she's okay with having that on her body for the rest of her life. So it must be an indication that she's able to commit to something. She's patient, and she's able to sit and endure pain. I don't know. That kind of reminds me of some characteristics that make a good woman.
Yeah, 100%.
So tattoos are
they're a plus.
Good thing. Yeah.
It's kind of funny that one girl told me I was going to burn in hell with the fallen angels because of my tattoos.
Wasn't her profile full of cuss words or something?
No. So she, we had started chit chatting or whatever, and like I hadn't really looked through a whole bunch of her pictures, but then she started jawing at me for my tattoos, so I started like investigating, and she had up all these like pictures of her like
at the bar,
scantily dressed and stuff, and she was like telling me, "Oh, Jesus doesn't like tattoos and this and that and the other and all that," and then she's cussing at me. I'm like, well, like here you are dressed like a little slut and talking this way, but you're upset at me because and so that really triggered her, and she blocked me because like she just lacked accountability, and she couldn't. She didn't have the ability to like self-reflect.
That's an extremely important ability. Self-reflection is something that not everybody possesses. It's something that everybody should possess, and it's an awesome tool to get better as a person if you choose to. So
yep, the ability to self-reflect and to self-critique, and just be able to take criticism in general, like whether it's constructive or not. Like it's really you could tell somebody who has good character by their ability to do that.
Yeah. If someone can't take criticism, or if you can't talk to somebody, I know people that can't even take constructive criticism. And it's actually sad because it's like
I'm trying to make you better. Why are you fighting me?
Yeah, it's
like stop.
Like that's
I love you.
It's just extremely sign of extreme sensitivity, and you're not going to do well as a human if you're that sensitive. I mean, I cannot stand someone who is so sensitive. Like,
could also be a sign of narcissism. You got to watch out for that too. That's bad.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Awful. Terrible.
Narcissists. Speaking of that, I was actually just thinking about those people that will do something in action or something. They'll do something either to you or they'll do something on their own that affects you. And then when you react, they play the victim, and then they react to your reaction to what they did, and then they want to play the blame game. Like, for example, the person that we were talking about earlier that got me put in jail that I was dating, she would, I'm not even going to get into details, but she would just do certain things, and then I would, let it slide or approach it in a softer way than I should have at the time. I didn't know better. I thought I was doing what was right, but looking back now, hindsight's 20/20. But I would respond a certain way, and then all of a sudden she would say, "Oh, you're not the same anymore. You're not the sweet guy that I fell for, and you're mean," and all this other stuff. And the stuff that she was doing, I was just reacting to, and then she got mad when I stopped doing certain things. And I told her, well, here's why. And then she's like, oh, well, she flipped it around again. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, the reason why I act like that and I do that is because you're this way. So it's like you start doing something, I react, and then when we talk about my reaction to your actions, you say that you're doing that because I'm acting here. So it's just a full circle of some narcissistic
nonsense.
Like a narcissistic sewer of bullshit just circling around and around. And I've been out of that for like a year and a half, and it's been the best year and a half of my life. You know that you're dating the wrong person when your family is happy to have you back. So, were you happy to have me back?
Yeah. Like, if whoever you're into or trying to date or dating or whatever, if they're keeping you away from like your family, church, God, like whatever, like if they're not adding to that, but they're like a factor that's keeping you away from all that and distancing you from that type of thing, then that's a really good indicator that you are with the wrong person. Yeah. Like if like certain family members, it's good to stay away from. Like there are families out there, obviously, that people are toxic and it's not healthy to be around. If you got somebody that's trying to keep you away from an unhealthy situation, that's different. But if you've got great relationships with your family members and this person is coming between that, cut it off.
Yep, nip it right in the bud, get rid of it. It's only going to choke out your maximum potential, and you just shouldn't associate with people that you don't want to be like. I always try to hang out with people that are more successful than me and that are better than me. If you go to the gym with someone that's stronger than you,
you're going to be stronger.
You're going to be stronger, yeah.
Yep. You are like the 5 people you associate with the most. And a lot of people make the mistake of viewing other people's strengths as a threat to them.
Yeah.
I love when somebody's smarter than me, stronger than me, more successful than me, because I know I'm going to learn and I'm going to get better. I don't view somebody else's strength as a threat. I view it as an opportunity for me.
Yeah. I once was hanging out with a coworker a couple years ago. We hung out just a few times. Haven't hung out with him again. He's a little bit older than me, but got along great at work, but he's just extremely insecure. And we had gone out to some concert or something, and I would try to go up and start talking to some women, flirt with them, have a good time, and then he was insecure to the point where he had to throw out in the conversations. It was like a group conversation, like group of girls and then me and him. He had to throw out that he made more money than me, and then he would say things like, "Oh, those girls are too tall for you." This guy was 6'3", and I'm 5'10". So I mean, I'm not short, but I'm not the tallest guy in the world. But I mean, just subtle things like that.
Passive aggressive.
It was enough to tell me 2 things. This guy is insecure and clearly threatened by me for no reason because we're homies, and it's not a competition.
You thought you were homies. He wasn't really your homie.
Yeah, at the time, yeah. So another thing it told me was don't hang out with this guy again because he is not really your homie, like what Joe said. Mm-hmm. So
actions, people, actions.
I would rather hang out with nobody than to hang out with somebody like that. So don't let loneliness influence you to make a bad choice. There's so many women out there that, I mean, maybe they're a single mom, they're 30, maybe they're not, and they are single and they're 30 or whatever, and they're lonely. They see all their friends getting married. They're going to their weddings. They start to get super lonely, and then they end up with some guy who they really shouldn't be with, and a couple years later it turns into the biggest mistake ever, when really they just should suffer through the loneliness and get past it. So
it's okay to suffer. There is nothing wrong with not having a good day. There's nothing wrong with being sad. There's nothing wrong with sitting there and being freaking lonely, okay? It's not going to be this way forever, okay? A lot of people need to understand and realize that your feelings do not define your reality. Right? Feelings are liars, right? Sometimes they can be useful, but you need to be mindful that they do not define your reality. And a lot of people just live by their feelings and by their emotions. And it's detrimental. It's not good.
Yep. That's why women weren't meant to be leaders. I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off when I say this, but it's true. Women respond to emotion and men respond to logic. So women, I believe, should not be leaders. I believe there can be female leaders over other groups of females. Maybe this female is more logical than, emotional.
Than the other females.
Nancy or, something like that.
It goes back to being complementary.
Yeah.
Where men are a lot more logical, women are a lot more emotional.
I think you need both though, because
that's why God made. That's why God made both.
Well, I mean, both.
Well, no, every man and woman has emotion and logic, but we use it in different ways. We are heavy on the logic. Women are heavy on the emotion. Because I mean, for strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, say you and I are together, one of us gets hurt pretty bad. Okay. Like, what are you going to do? Like, say I'm sitting here with, a gunshot wound on my arm. Like, you're not going to be, oh, well, let me help you. You're going to, you're going to make sure I'm all right. But you're like, get up. Like, stop being a wuss. Like, walk it off. Throw some dirt in it, right?
We need to finish filming this
Finish filming. We'll get it later.
Then we'll go to the doctor.
Then we'll go to, but
just don't die until we stop filming.
Bleed slow.
We need this episode. Bleed slow.
But if, I'm sitting here, I'm bleeding out with a woman, she's going to be scampering around, making sure the bleeding stops, making sure I'm not dying of infection. She's going to probably prop me up, get me a snack, pour me a glass of sweet tea. Like, she's going to be...
Or she may faint from the sight of blood and you might die.
But I might. But you know what? She's going to react a whole lot different. That's how men and women... Because men, we need women. We do.
Dude, if women didn't exist, life would be so gray and bland.
We would all just kill each other, honestly.
We would just start fighting. I mean, what happens when you get younger men together and there's no women? They want to start boxing clubs.
We want to start doing stupid stuff.
Start wrestling.
Hurting each other.
Yeah, but then when there's women around,
our focus is totally different.
I mean, clean cut. Like, I don't get my hair cut and faded nice.
We don't do it for
nice
the boys.
cologne for this motherfucker. I mean, I do it because women. So women are so important. Women are the gateways to life.
That's why you should always treat women well and love them and respect them.
Yep.
But also don't let them like treat you bad and run all over you either.
So. And that goes back to respecting yourself.
Standards.
Again, we keep getting back to standards.
It's almost like that's what we were supposed to be talking about the whole time.
It's almost like we planned it.
Oh, gosh.
Nice.
Oh, yep. Pretty cool.
Well, we don't want to bore you guys.
Yeah. We'll save some for the next episode.
Yeah.
Keep you guys coming back for more, maybe.
Maybe. And the haters, please keep commenting about my eyebrows, because if we get famous because of my eyebrows, I'm going to literally shave them off and sell them on the internet.
You better be careful about that. Like, you might actually have to do that one day.
They grow back.
All right. Well, guys, we'll catch you next time. It's been real. It's been fun.
And it has been real fun.
It has. Stay dangerous.